I can't get out of my head is it's almost like, did you ever remember when you were a kid, if you had a loose tooth and you know what, it's loose, but it's not out yet, and I don't know if you ever did this, but you kind of suck on the tooth. It's like a weird kind of thing. It's painful, but you're kind of obsessed with it. Anything that Biden does nowadays in front of a camera that allows him to have to think on his feet is one of those painful moments, and I don't want to see it, but I have to go back to it, because it reminds me of the state of America. This is a prophetic picture that America itself is in a sense, it's losing its grip on reality. And what you're looking at is not a president. We should stop focusing on this as Biden. It's evidence that it's not Biden. It's a group of elites, academics, and party activists who are behind the scenes controlling him and managing him and pointing him in this direction and stuffing his pocket with papers and say this and then say that and then get the heck out of there. And because Kamala Harris is groomed and they're ready to throw her out there. By the way, why do you think that Cuomo in New York is having the problems he's having? These are the insights you get on this program that very few people will actually give you. I'm going to tell you, where did this Cuomo thing come from? The Democrats are so disciplined. They all vote in lockstep. Everything they do is party discipline, party discipline. Why would they suddenly be turning on their own? The media is all a left-wing apparatus. The whole media is now the dangerous part of the government policy. So you think you're getting news. You're not getting news. You're getting propaganda. Why are they turning on Cuomo? Because they've surveyed and discovered that Governor Cuomo, to their surprise, is considered presidential, and that means they don't have the control over him and his ego that they have over Kamala Harris, who will do exactly what they want. So they have to get rid of Cuomo now. You don't think that Democrats have all kinds of women and that could come out of the closet? And, listen, in Virginia, I was amazed. I watched 3 top offices in the state of Virginia, all with issues in the news at the same time and some of them were in criminal categories of court complaints regarding sexuality and behavior and abuse, etc. Boom, the stories were killed. You know why? The press isn't going to use that kind of scandalous power unless it's a political weapon, and they use it to discipline their own party. So Cuomo is being taken out. Governor Newsom, different problem. The people can't stand him. But in New York, it's the media frenzy. The party is taking him out because he's a threat to Kamala Harris in 2024, and they plan on getting her in as soon as they can, as soon as the nation wakes up to the fact that Biden really can't do this job. So where I am right now is I want you to play the part of the if we can, Mr. Producer. I want to go to the press conference part where we're dealing with foreign policy. What you can't have is a president who literally can't think about what he's doing in nuclear or military matters until he finds the piece of paper. And God help us if he pulls the wrong piece of paper, a laundry list, out of his pocket, because he could start a nuclear incident. Let's read what how he's going to deal with North Korea. Watch him think on his feet.
We're consulting with our allies and partners, and there will be responses if they choose to escalate. We will respond accordingly. But I'm also prepared for some form of diplomacy.
It's got to be pretty intimidating to the North Koreans, who, of course, are watching it in real time. They've got nukes in Pyongyang now, and that means they probably have cable TV, too. Don't underestimate these people. They're crafty.
Don't underestimate them. They might even have microwave ovens, for all we know. So here's the situation. You've got the President of the United States. All he had to say was, all that I'm going to say right now is we are in consultation with our allies. We are concerned, but we believe that the situation is going to be manageable and that we're establishing our own communication. I'll have more on that later. Boom. But instead, it's like he's reading it like it's news, breaking news. Not wanting to miss a word, we're consulting our allies, and that is the scary part. It's the fact that he doesn't have an opinion unless it's handed to him, and he's got to find the piece of paper to make sure he doesn't screw it up. So, North Korea is watching. By the way, I got to say this. First missile test, Donald Trump. Boy, these guys all respected Trump. They can't believe we traded Trump off for this. I mean, they're all going, oh, they were on the ropes. Iran, boom, ready to make a deal. What does Biden do? It gives them relief from all sanctions from the United Nations. And what does Iran do? I think we're going to attack you. Boom, first thing they do is they send a missile. In North Korea, they just launched their first missile. I don't know if you know this, Mercedes. But since 2017, after Donald Trump did his famous "you got a button, I got a bigger button" exchange with Kim Jong-un, what did they do? They stopped testing the boundaries and started seeing about maybe they could get a better deal, and maybe they could even become part of an economic titan in the Asia-Pacific Rim, kind of like Taiwan, kind of like Singapore. That's what Trump was saying to them, and they liked that idea. Now, you know what they've done? They just launched another missile. It's on the news. They launched another missile. You know why they launched a missile? Because they figured we're back to the dummies regime like they had with Hillary, and they can get away with this stuff in order to negotiate. All right. That's it. I got it out of my system. But that's world diplomacy. By the way, Putin, just let me get this out of my system. You know what Putin said? He said, I want to debate you. He took a look at this. These guys just come right through the front door. He goes, oh. Well, I'll tell you what, Captain Cognitive over there, why don't we have a debate? And then Putin says this, and he's chest thumping in front of Pravda. His own media, guarantee, is covering this different than the New York Times. Putin says, I want to debate the U.S. president. I want to do it on one condition. It's live. Why does he want to do it live? Because he doesn't want an edited version. He wants the whole world to see him decimate the American president. This, my friends, is not healthy. All right, Mercedes?
Yeah, I got to thinking as you were talking, maybe they gave him the talking points because they didn't want him to fly off the handle and say, you lying, two-faced, pony soldier, something like that. Or just go, come on, man, shut up. You never know with Biden. I mean, you never know these days. But let's pivot into the election reform that we're supposed to talk about in this segment. And we have Governor Brian Kemp signing some legislation this week, trying to secure up the Georgia vote. So very interesting. This is a bill passed, on party lines here. It regulates the drop boxes, and then it also, for absentee voting, requires a valid ID, so a picture ID. So all big wins. Who has a problem with this? None other. Well, I mean, we got two people, really. But mainly, let's look at Joe Biden's tweet. After this bill had passed, he had this to say. And let me find it here. I've got a lot of paperwork.
I can read it to you. Oh,
you got it?
I can cover that.
Okay,
the Georgia voting law, like so many others pursued by Republicans in state houses across the country, is a blatant attack on the right to vote, the Constitution, and good conscience. I guarantee this was written by somebody else. It's Jim Crow in the 21st century, and it must end. Jim Crow, Jim Crow. They're all using Jim Crow, Jim Crow, Jim Crow. White supremacists, racist. And the American people are getting sick of this. I'm telling you something. It's like a cognitive, as he's diminishing and he's being played, and the American people actually have been getting an education. And we've been getting an education ever since Donald Trump started running for office. How in the world could the media do the blitzkrieg and bombardment they did on Donald Trump with two impeachment scenarios and end up dropping in credibility and influence to the point where they're only 21% influential and Trump picks up 15 million new voters? How did Trump pick up 15 million new voters when the entire media is trying to propaganda? You know why? We don't listen to them. Now, we have to actually get that 48% of the country that it's kind of like been this, let's say, zombified by the media narrative. We've got to chip away at that. And that's why people like you that are watching this program are so important. The more informed you are about what's really going on, the more powerful your own echo chamber, your own influence, your own decision-making is. Biden is predictably doing that Jim Crow thing. But let me say this is really important. Brian Kemp and Georgia. What a disappointment they were. Stacey Abrams ran circles around him, and the Raffensperger, who I think, I've got opinions on that guy. He's got to go. Brian Kemp, really, on the other hand, is trying to do damage control because he wants to stay as governor. You know what he heard? Mercedes, he heard Donald Trump say he's coming back to do a rally to remove Kemp. Because you know one thing about Donald Trump? He's making a list and checking it twice. And he already knows who's naughty and nice. And when he comes back out swinging in the midterm cycle, the wrecking ball has got a bead for Brian Kemp, because Kemp and Georgia screwed up the election by their own malfeasance. So now they're doing a cleanup act, and it shows the power of the Georgia conservatives and the populist movement. This wasn't what the legislator was planning on doing. They're taking their orders from the government. But guess what? You guys showed up. You called. I'm telling you, the audience that we have out there is our shadow cabinet that's going to reshape America. Kemp now is doing reform. By the way, Donald Trump lauds Georgia Republicans. Donald Trump, he is saying, good job, Georgia. Congratulations to the Georgia State Legislature on changing their voter rules and regulations. This Election Integrity Act of 2021 is going to have to be totally challenged. H.R. 1 has got to be booted out. It will destroy America in the future. But here's the good news, people. Donald Trump is saying, oh, well, this is progress there in Georgia. Now, why is that important? Because Trump doesn't plan on getting back engaged in politics if it's going to be rigged by fraudulent elections. He wants to see this happening so that he gets a fair shot at fixing America in 4 years. So that's good news. When we get back, have we got a load of activity to cover in a few minutes' time. So I'm looking forward to talking to you about how the left is screwing up with guns already.
Lance Wallnau has just released his latest book, God's Chaos Code.
You need to know the code. You need to know what's happening right now. There is a code in the chaos. There's a purpose in the shaking. Once you see this, it's going to give stability and strength to you. God is literally raising up an awakening generation right now. It's hidden in the code.
You need to know the code. Order God's Chaos Code now at godschaoscode.com.